Would you believe it if I told you that GameStop in New York City is doing shady things to make more money off of Switch 2 pre-orders? Oh, you would believe that? Yeah, okay, well, it does sound about right, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, this article comes from Vice. A GameStop was being shady with Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders, store investigated for insane prices. Now this article was actually brought to my attention by my buddy Ricardo, so shout out to Ricardo. But the best part about this article is that not only did it happen at the GameStop mentioned here, but allegedly also happened at least one other GameStop location here in New York City, and I have been to these locations because I live in Queens, and so we're going to talk about this. But first, drop a thumbs up on the video, helps out the channel a ton, and of course, cheers. Now, as you guys know, if you saw my previous video, Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders were crazy. They sold out in minutes. It was almost impossible to get your hands on one. But leave it to GameStop to make it a little bit worse. Let's just make it a little bit worse here, okay? So this news first came from a Twitter user. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name, but their handle is _guy_. So this GameStop is forcing you to buy bundles, cases, screen protectors, etc. They're claiming they can't process the SKU just for the console, but we all know what's going on here. Personally, I want Donkey Kong and a screen protector, so it isn't a big deal. Others are leaving. Imagine, if you will, spending hours in line at your local GameStop trying to get a Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order. You've been there since the crack of dawn because getting an online pre-order the previous night was basically impossible. The store finally opens, and instead of the $450 you were expecting to pay for the console, the store tells you that you can only pre-order the Nintendo Switch 2 if you shell out another $100 for a packaged bundle. You are essentially only able to order the console if you also buy a bunch of random accessories that you don't even want. Sounds awful, right? According to the reports, a GameStop in Astoria did just that. The story first broke when the Twitter user shared his inline experience on Twitter. We just read this. They also uploaded a video of themselves checking out at GameStop, and the total for his Nintendo Switch 2 pre-order came out to a staggering $900. Yeah, almost the price of an iPhone. Absolute insanity. Now this report claims that this was happening at the Astoria location here in Queens, New York City, but I also have allegedly heard that this was occurring at the Queens Center Mall location as well. I don't have video proof of that, but let's be real, would it really be that much of a shocker? And I'm gonna be honest with you, it wouldn't be. I've been to both of these GameStop locations and I can easily see that being the case, but I'll leave the official investigation to GameStop. They can figure out who is doing what. Now of course, GameStop did respond to this backlash over on Twitter. They said, "We are actively investigating this. Any customer who was turned away at the Astoria location should reach out via DM so we can make it right." So it appears that at least GameStop is looking to help any customers who only wanted the console itself but were turned away from the store. Hopefully they can get a crack at purchasing an online order instead. We can hope. Of course, many Nintendo fans didn't take this well, and it's understandable. Pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 were absolute hell. And then this goes on to talk about how all the sites were crashing and pre-orders sold out immediately. We covered that in my previous video. Everyone was happy to pay the $449 for the Nintendo Switch 2. As it turns out, some people spending upwards of $900 on the console. So let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen, because I have mixed feelings. First of all, this is nothing new, right? We've seen these practices done before in the past, where these retailers will try to bundle in screen protectors, cases, extra chargers, all this other stuff. I mean, you see this even when you go to like phone companies, right? Like Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever. Sometimes they'll try to bundle in an extra charger or an extra whatever, and it's never like the good stuff, right? It's always like the third party off-brand trash that is, you can get it on like Temu for $5, but they're gonna sell it to you for 30, right? That's always how they get you, with a little bit of just a little extra revenue, right? Some of these companies saying, oh, we can only really sell the console or the phone or the gadget if you're willing to buy the 1 year or 2 year warranty that they offer, right? Like that, these things are pretty common, right? And I think that these companies offering bundles is fine. I have no problem with them offering a bundle. The problem is that they are requiring that you buy the bundle to pre-order an item that's not even out yet, right? The Switch 2 is not even out yet. How do I, as the consumer, know what I'm going to want or need on day one? I just have to trust GameStop's word for it and then pay them extra money for it, right? And I think that it's reasonable to assume people are going to want a screen protector anyway, right? So you get the upsell or whatever. But my point is, if they want customers to pre-order these bundles, then they have to make the value proposition so unbelievably good that people are going to get it anyway, right? right? And then if people still decline, then they still should be required to let you pre-order the console by itself. And it seems like this was maybe a localized problem where GameStop probably does have a policy that says, I mean, you should be able to just pre-order the console, right? Like, why not? Why would you not do that? I feel like Nintendo would be pissed off if they found out about things like this, and I'm sure GameStop doesn't want to ruin their reputation with Nintendo. But at the same time, like, what's going on at these local levels with these local managers that are like what how did this even happen to begin with, right? But here's the other thing, right? I kind of get where GameStop is coming from, because every week you're hearing about new GameStop locations are shutting their doors permanently, right? They're not making it, they're not making enough sales, it's just not working out, right? And GameStop is struggling, and they have been struggling for a while now, and it's truly it's impressive, to be honest, that a lot of these stores have remained open. So from that perspective, I can understand them saying like, hey, look, like the Switch 2 is going to be a big deal, and you know, maybe we can use this as an opportunity to boost sales so that way we can stay open for a little bit longer, right? And maybe if we get customers to buy some things that maybe they don't necessarily want, but they are going to get eventually, like extra chargers and screen protectors and whatnot, we can capture that sale and that little bit of extra revenue right up front, and maybe that's going to help us out. And you know, I get it, right? I understand that, but it's the strong arm tactic here, where it's like, you can't force customers to do that. I understand that GameStop is in a horrible position right now, and they're fighting tooth and nail to keep themselves, you know, above water, and I don't think it's working, to be honest with you. So I get why these local stores might be doing it, right? The manager might be thinking, okay, well, we've missed quota for like 3-4 months now, like if we don't make it, then we're gonna shut down, and then all my friends that work here are gonna lose their job. And so like, maybe the managers are thinking like, okay, well, we got to do something to make a little bit extra money, right? And they pull out this strategy. And look, New York City rent prices are insane, so I'm sure that even though these GameStops are in New York City, which has a lot of people probably going to them and buying from them, at the same time, the rent for their physical brick and mortar locations is probably through the roof, right? So it's it is survival of the fittest out here, man. It is not easy to have a business survive in New York City. So while I don't agree with the practice of them requiring you pre-order and buy all their extra third-party accessories, I can at least understand why they would be motivated to do this. And thank God this was revealed on social media, right? Like, imagine the world before social media. These companies would have basically no accountability, because it would be isolated to the local level, whereas now we have people like this gentleman here at guy with the hair underscore, who's able to kind of reveal these local practices. And if it goes viral, which clearly it's getting a lot of attention, I mean, even I'm making a video about it, then you know, other people around the country and around the world can say, oh yeah, my local GameStop's doing this, or my Best Buy tried doing this, or whatever the case might be, and these companies can be held accountable. So at least we've got that, right? That's kind of the silver lining here. And I wonder how GameStop's actually going to solve this, right? Because obviously they uploaded they had a full response, and let's see, was this on Twitter? Yeah, this was on, or sorry, I should say X. We're actively investigating this, whatever. I wonder what, and I guess here we have this is the original tweet here, and it doesn't have that many likes, honestly. 1.7k. This is definitely the Astoria location, I can tell you for sure. But even though it only has 1.7k likes, then it still has 300,000 views, which is kind of insane. Regardless, what is GameStop going to actually do here, right? Like, what can they do? How can they verify that people were turned away? If you were turned away, can they give you maybe priority in line to pre-order a Switch 2 online, or in that store or another store, whatever the case might be, right? Like, what can they actually even do about this, right? Are they going to provide them like a free $10 gift card or something like that? Like, what can they actually do to make this right? I think the right thing for them to do would be to, you know, somehow verify people who were there and turned away, and then offer them, you know, front of the line for pre-order somewhere else, so that way they can get their hands on it, because technically these people were there and they were able to do the pre-order, but because of the local GameStop's practices, they were unable to maybe afford the extra, you know, 3 or 4 things that were bundled with the console. So in a world where GameStop did not do, and I should say this local GameStop, in a world where this local GameStop did not do this shady strategy or practice, they would have gotten a pre-order, right? Because they would have got it for $4.49, it would have been whatever. But in that event, given the circumstances, they weren't comfortable paying the extra money for all the extra stuff, and thus did not get a pre-order, right? And so the right thing to do would be to somehow get these customers the pre-order that they should have gotten by being there in person on day one, right? But I just don't know how you can verify that. I don't know how they can pull that off. How do you, like, you don't get a receipt if you don't make so how do you know, right? Like, did would you have had to take a picture there with like the metadata to prove it? I don't know what GameStop can possibly do about this. Truthfully, I almost want to reach out and be like, yo, hey, I didn't get a pre-order, yo, help me out, brother, get me one, like just to see what they do, right? But I don't know. And this goes without saying, but definitely do not harass GameStop after watching this video. Okay, that's not how we gonna do these things. And this is yet another example of how these types of pre-order situations kind of erode the trust that customers have, not in just GameStop but also in Nintendo, right? Like why is it so hard for customers to get a Switch 2, and why is it so hard for local GameStops to get Switch 2 consoles that they feel like they have to capitalize on every single unit they get as a pre-order, right? Like I can imagine people who went to that GameStop that day, if they went to go pre-order and they're, instead of $449, they're, oh, it's actually $599 because you have to buy the case and the charger and the screen protector, whatever. Those people aren't going to go back to that GameStop for the next pre-order, right? When the Nintendo Switch 3 comes out, you can bet that people are not going to try to pre-order it at that location because they know the BS that they've just been put through, right? Instead, they're going to do it online, they're going to do it through Amazon, they're going to do it at their local Best Buy, they're going to do it at their local wherever the case might be, Target, Walmart, whatever. And in the long run, it kind of hurts GameStop, right? It erodes that trust. It makes customers not want to go there anymore because they don't know what the next scam, scheme, shady, whatever is going to be. And so while it might make GameStop a little bit more money in the short term, right, on the front end, on the back end and in the long run, it's actually just worse for them, right? It's just that they're not going to be, these are the types of things that make people hate GameStop and not want to go there, right? And again, same thing with Nintendo. Why is it that Nintendo seems to have not done enough to prevent scalping of the console to the point where people have to resort to, you know, thinking, oh, well, you know, if I don't buy this extra case and screen protector at GameStop, I might not get a pre-order, I might not get a console for 3, 4, 5 months, right? Who knows? It's almost like you're being punished for not buying these bundles or not having a scalping bot or something like that, because Nintendo just can't get the product into the hands of the people that genuinely just want to buy it, right? And I know this is more of a GameStop thing than a Nintendo thing, but whatever happened to that Nintendo pre-order thing where you log into Nintendo.com with your Nintendo account and you sign up and register for pre-orders? Whatever happened to that? I haven't heard about that. I signed up for that. I haven't heard anything either, right? I didn't even get an email saying like, oh, sorry, you weren't selected for a pre-order. Is that still happening or is that over? Like, I have no idea, right? But like more of that would be great. That way customers don't have to resort to like even considering stuff like this, right? Because you know that there were people at these GameStops who were thinking like, oh man, like if I don't do it today, I'm not going to get one, right? But if Nintendo had a better strategy for directly selling to customers, then we wouldn't have to deal with stuff like this as well. Here's another post on the Nintendo Switch subreddit that says, the store I waited at in Washington State went back and forth on this. The manager first told us that we needed to buy an accessory to make a pre-order, but then he left to go to a different store and the employees he left behind didn't enforce it. I bet anyone who pre-ordered at that store he did stay at got screwed over. So this is clearly not localized to New York City. This is obviously something that's happening all over the country. Here's another report. My GameStop, also a Queens location, did the exact same thing. People coming out did warn that you'd be forced to buy one of 3 accessory bundles. The essential and most basic accessory bundle was a game, a 256GB memory card, a 1 or 2 year warranty, whichever you choose, a carrying case, and a tempered glass screen protector, which was said to be free. Yes, it's free if you just spend more money for all the other stuff, right? With the 1 year warranty option, it added another $205, while the 2 year warranty added another $225. They really pushed this on us. Okay, so instead of $449, it was $649 or 6. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. I told them I didn't want the memory card, a game, or the case. They really pushed hard to buy more when I told them all I wanted were the 1 year warranty and the tempered glass screen protector. They allowed it, but looked at me like I was a complete idiot for not wanting or needing the entire accessory bundle. I know people always do that. I've worked in retail, right? And they always employ these like crazy strategies to make you, the customer, feel like an idiot for not getting the extended warranty or whatever. It's so annoying. I hate it so much. And this is why people buy online, by the way, right? Like in case these brick and mortar stores are wondering why people buy online, this is why, because they don't want to deal with this bullshit. They don't want to deal with your attitude. They don't want to deal with your condescending, snarky, holier than thou bullshit, whatever. Don't make the customer feel dumb for not wanting to buy your bullshit like accessories, cases, or warranties or whatever, right? It's annoying. And it's not their responsibility to fill your quota. If you're a shit salesman, then GG. I was super happy with GameStop doing the live pre-orders, but I absolutely hated them trying to push extras on us. The process added so much time to each person's pre-order, which should have taken 5 minutes per person unless they were trading in a console and several games. Took over 20 minutes for many people. Yeah, exactly, because now everyone waiting online gets to the front, and now they're arguing with them. They're debating, oh, I don't want this. Oh, well, you have to get it. Why do I have to get this and that? Store policy. Well, it just makes it annoying, right? It should be a quick boom boom boom, let me in and out, right? Like, let me just pre-order the thing and go home, and now you got to argue with every customer that comes through the door. And this is the other thing too. PSA GameStop warranties are pointless when Nintendo has their own warranty on products anyway. Now here's the thing, right? The GameStop warranty might cover some accidental damage or something like that, or it extends beyond the GameStop warranty, so there might be a reason to get the GameStop warranty, but if I were a betting man, I'd say it's probably mostly useless. Here's another report happening at the Queens Center location. This is what I said earlier in the video, that I did hear not only was this at the Astoria location in Queens, but the Queens Center Mall location. I happen to live very close to this location as well. I went and had my girlfriend buy the console, and they said the way GameStop does it is you have to buy a bundle. There was no other choice, and I knew that sounded fishy. I don't know what I should do because I didn't want the 256 gigabyte, and they also completely lied. They gave my girlfriend different items from different bundles. Yeah, sounds about right. That's some bullshit. That used to be my GameStop when I lived in Queens, and it was a shady spot. The workers were never working, just chatting with each other. They always got whatever regional rewards you get for sales, but it was because it was the only game store in the area after the CEX closed down. That location was shady, probably still is, but at least there's always parking because you can double park anywhere you want on Steinway. That's so annoying that it's so true. I hate Steinway. My local GameStop made me buy either an accessory or a game with the purchase of my Series X and PS5. I tried so hard to pre-order my Switch 2 online at Walmart or Best Buy, but no dice. Had to buy at my local GameStop in person. However, they currently were not making anyone pre-order accessories as part of their Switch 2, despite it being the same person that made me buy extras the last 2 times. Might have come under fire for it. Yeah, and this is what I was saying before, like with the PS5 and stuff, like we've seen these practices. This is nothing new. Mine snuck a pro membership onto mine when in the next day and raised heck they refunded me. That's so scummy, bro. To be fair, this person said my GameStop experience was excellent. I was number 7 in line. They passed out checklists with everything and we marked what we wanted. They rang us up and done. No pressuring us for anything. Crazy this store and some others did this, and now it's got corporate attention. I wonder if the management gets canned. They're not going to can management because nobody wants to work at GameStop anyway. So the managers probably make horrible pay, and they probably work 60 hours a week or more, and a lot of that is free labor. They're probably working overtime without working overtime, right? And so nobody wants to be a manager at GameStop. Those jobs suck, and so they're probably not going to can the people because they have no one to take those positions. This person said, hey, I actually tweeted about this. The GameStop at the Renton Washington landing was doing this bullshit too. I was getting multiple things, so it's whatever, but I hate being pushed like that for sales. Yeah, so it sounds like this was happening pretty much all over the place, and I suspect that it's happening more so at locations that are struggling, right? Locations where they need to meet certain quotas, or they just they can't get enough sales to basically keep the lights on. That's the vibe that I'm getting from this. So guys, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Do you kind of feel bad for GameStop that some of them feel like they need to do this, or do you think they're complete scumbags for trying to force people to buy bundles filled with garbage that they don't want or need? Let me know in the comment section below. While you're down there, drop a thumbs up on the video. Helps out the channel a ton, helps push this video out into the algorithm, and consider subscribing down below and click the bell to be notified the next time I upload a video. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.